Hey there again, Collabcast listeners. This is Captain Dave Jackson coming to you from a really, really sunny Hendersonville, Tennessee, part of Nashville. Thanks for listening in today, and I cannot tell you how excited I am for you all to meet if you haven't already and listen to Mr. Chuck Blondino. Many of you know Chuck from his days at Safeco Insurance Company and all of his trainings, probably tens of thousands of agencies trained. Chuck, welcome to Collabcast.
Thanks, Dave. Great to be with you.
Thanks so much for joining us. So, a little backstory for our listeners. You and I met when I first attended, when I was a Safeco agent, I first attended a, Customers for Life workshop.
Yeah.
I think I went to a couple of them. I think I went to one in Tucson because I was in the Phoenix area, and I went to one in Vegas. I think the Vegas one was my first one, and that was a little bit after IAOA had been started. And so I introduced myself to you. You didn't know who I was because I was just another, local agent.
Another
And you
awesome
meet,
agent. Yes.
yeah, and you met thousands of them in your day, and and training all of them, either virtually or in person. And the really thing I liked about that, and we'll get to Customers for Life in a minute, but the thing I liked about that the most was you guys got out and met the agents in the hometown. It was kind of like a fireside chat, sort of thing. It was very personable, and you came to us. We didn't have to come to you. It was in person versus virtual. Of course, COVID did stop a little bit of that, but now we're probably back to square one. And I know as an agent, I really, really appreciate that and appreciated you and Safeco's support of independent agents. You guys did an outstanding job for that, and most of it was because of you. So thank you for that. We appreciate you.
There was a lot of people behind that, Dave, but yes,
Oh,
thank you.
I know, but you get the accolade, so good for you. So I always like to start with my guests before we get to the boring insurance world, the unsexy stuff. Let's talk about you personally. I know Safeco's in Seattle, home office, and still is, and you worked out of that office for a lot of time. But are you from the Safeco area originally? I mean Seattle area originally.
I live in Sammamish, which is 20 miles east of Seattle,
Is that
Washington.
where you grew up?
Born and raised. I was
Born
born
and
in
raised.
Seattle itself. Yes.
Oh, very good. Yeah, there's a lot of those Indian names, where I know there's a lot of high country, so to speak, with tons of forests and raging rivers, and it's really pretty country, super pretty. I've been up there myself. I don't know if I've been to your hometown per se, but do you consider that a Seattle
Oh, yeah,
suburb?
definitely. Just the Seattle
Okay,
suburb.
okay,
Yeah, definitely.
okay. To the east just a little bit.
Yep. Straight
Okay,
up
very
toward the
cool.
mountain pass. Yes.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna guess that you went to high school, you went to post education, some college, and all of that was with the full intention of entering the insurance industry to work for Safeco Insurance. Am I right?
Not once.
No, nobody ever says that. So what was your path? Tell us about your path
Well,
out of high school and college and all that.
yeah. So, the beginning of this, Dave, is why I love independent agents so much. Before I turned 20, I went to Green River Community College so that I could continue with the DECA program, Distributive Education Clubs of
Oh yeah,
America,
I remember DECA in high school. Yeah.
marketing, merchandising, and management, right?
Yep. Yep.
I got the bug to go run my own business, and I told my parents, who were both teachers, that I was dropping out of college to go run a business, and I was leaving town to go start my own franchise in Salt Lake City, Utah, where
Oh my God, they had to be
I
shocked.
didn't know a single person. I didn't know the culture. I didn't know about the
Wow.
Mormon religion. But I was all in for an opportunity to run a business of my own. And with that franchise, I started from scratch. My amount of furniture at home was an apple crate to set a TV on, a waterbed, and a giant pillow was my furniture in my living room. I didn't have a dining room set. I didn't have anything. And I went out there and in 18 months built that up, with my team to had 6 trucks and an 8-person phone room, right? But I was knocking on doors. I was out prospecting commercially. And then the company asked me to go to Waco, Texas to sell franchises. And when I got there, nobody had ever told me no one had ever grown a franchise that quickly. And it was, I'd like to tell you it's because of the kind of marketing that's in my book, but
Right.
it was face to face, get out there, press the flesh. I was like a commercial producer in the IA world
Mm.
more than anything else.
Can
Trying,
you tell us what industry it was
oh,
in?
I'm sorry. Yes, it was carpet dyeing and cleaning, fire and flood
What is?
restoration. Um,
Oh,
so if I didn't get out and get some residential work to go along with all the commercial business, I wasn't paid regularly, as as
right.
people know. So it's
Yep.
you've got to have a good mix of residential and commercial, and but that short experience then turned into selling franchises and then marketing and managing helping agencies market and manage their own, sorry, I said agencies, franchises
Yeah.
market and manage their own agencies for growth, franchises
Gotcha.
for growth. So then I worked in a grocery company, and when I left there, I said there's got to be something where I don't have to work weekends, weeknights, and holidays. And someone said you should try Safeco, and I said, what do they do? So almost every time I keep approaching these opportunities blind and jumping in with both feet. And I went in to interview with a claims team for a claims spot. And when they found out that I'd run my own business, they sent me right over to commercial underwriting. And 4 interviews and 4 days later, I was hired. So I've got commercial underwriting and sales experience, marketing experience. Um, it was the sales management and marketing team leading that really got to the point where I loved helping agents grow, and we can talk more about that. But that's my history.
Mm.
It's some blind luck, and luck being when preparation meets opportunity. And each time it happened, I was jumping in with
Mhm.
both feet.
Yeah, it's almost the same as most everybody I talked to. What was your first day like in the insurance industry, and did you intend to be there? Nope, didn't. Stumbled on it.
Yeah,
Everybody stumbles.
yeah,
I stumbled into it. Um, it's just there's only a handful of people you meet in our industry who actually get an education, insurance management
yep,
or risk management, whatever it might be, to enter our industry. It's been that way. I've been in the industry 44 years. It's been that way as long as I've been around.
yep.
So it's not like the new generation isn't interested. It's not that. It's just been that way. I don't know why exactly. Insurance just isn't an aspiration type industry, like so many others are for whatever reason. But boy, there are some tremendous people in this business. And it's one of the number one reasons why we get to help as agents and carriers. We get to help people, the public, general public, and as agents, we get to do that while making a good living and helping people. I mean, you can't get much better. So in your case, somebody just randomly said, "Look at this insurance company." Or look at this, and they said the name Safeco, and that was the only insurance company you actually worked for during your career?
Only, well, of course, being purchased by Liberty Mutual in
Right, right,
2008.
right.
So,
Yeah,
and
right.
that offered a whole new set of opportunities.
Hmm.
And all kudos to Liberty and Safeco folks. Liberty allowed us to have a marketing director in every region, and that wouldn't have happened with the old Safeco. Another thing that
Mm-hmm.
happened with Liberty is they allowed me to create a 12-person team whose only focus was to help agents grow.
Right.
And the thought process, the mentality of it originally with folks was, I want to get out and help our distribution force. There was a vice president at a carrier I won't name who came up to me during a conference once and said, "Why do you do it? Why are you out there spending all that time helping agents grow?" And I go, "Well, what do you do? And they said, well,
Why wouldn't
we
you?
market our own name. Now, all of our marketing goes to our own name. Okay, well, that's great. So if they're your only distribution force, doesn't it make sense to help them grow? If their pie gets bigger and you've only got a slice, then your wedge is you're gonna grow. Initially, they said, but you're helping every other carrier that they work with grow too. And I go,
Right, right.
yes, and they're going to be stronger. How does that not make sense? So, to Liberty's credit, it made sense enough to create a team that no other carrier had. And after my retirement, there continues to be a team at Liberty and Safeco that is helping agents grow. So I'm very proud
That's
of that.
awesome. Kudos to the management team there to understand the impact
Yep.
it would have, because I know it impacted me personally, and I know many, many IAOA. If in fact, if we took a poll, I'm going to venture a guess. If we took a poll of our members, IAOA members, of which carriers and rank them, support the independent agency force uh, better than the others, Safeco would rank number one every time, and probably number two would be a far distant second. That's my own opinion.
There are more
So,
today than there used to be, and
oh, for sure.
I'm very happy about that because I think in my head like an independent agent, and it just makes more sense. In fact, I had a carrier reach out to me, and we did some training on how can I get my team to build stronger relationships with the agents that they work with. Now, that's going more back to my sales manager days than it is to go
Hmm.
back to the marketing team and the marketing tools that we created at Liberty and Safeco. But Dave, I would tell this to any independent agency who when you're dealing with the average number I saw the other day is 16 point something carriers per agency, right? That
Hmm.
means you've
Right.
got 16 people knocking on your door, all saying, we want more of your business. How much business do you have per carrier? Where do we rank? They have all of these questions they want to know because they want to know how much of your current book they can take. How much could you move
Sure.
to us? That's not
Hmm.
it. And if you have carriers that are asking you to move books to them, hey, sometimes it makes sense for your bonus and contingency purposes and stuff like that. But the question back to those reps who think that their visit is the most important thing that will happen to you in your day, and they're dead wrong, right? That's just
Hmm.
not how life really is for an agent. It's if you want to earn a seat at my table, if you want me to pay attention when you have a meeting with me, help me grow. Tell
Yep.
me what other people are doing to grow. Tell me how it's happening and what tools do I need? What do I need to change to get there? And and if they're not helping you grow, let them know. It's like, I don't have time for you. There
Right.
isn't a seat at this table for you. But you can turn into my partner and help me grow, and we got a good thing going.
Right. I love it. Three simple words: help me
Yeah.
grow. It's not complicated, is it? That's funny. It's funny, not funny. So I was stalking your LinkedIn profile before we got on the air, and it said that you had a sales territory early on in your Safeco career, like
Mm,
20 plus years ago, and your territory was Alaska and part of Washington.
yeah.
But you didn't live in Alaska, right? That was just your territory?
It was just my territory. I love Alaska.
Okay.
Now I have a sister-in-law up there, and several nieces and nephews. So love Alaska and always loved going up there. Great people. And then also added Utah for a short while, which I was told you're not going to like this. But I loved it because I'd lived there before, so
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was a perfect fit for me. But Dave, that time as a sales manager, when I had that territory, that's when the brainchild for Customers for Life happened.
Hmm.
And the reason it happened is in 2005, we were told we want double digit growth from your sales team. We're giving you no new products to sell, and we're raising rates double digit across your territories. So it was 10 to 25% on average, depending on the state. And I was a naive new sales manager saying, how do you expect me to do that? I mean, so nothing's changing. You want a 10% increase. We didn't grow the year before. And the response was, you're the sales manager, go get them, Tiger.
Figure it out.
And so for 6 months, my team watched the possibility of hitting their goals disappear, just, tanked. And so we said, okay, how do we do this differently? And I was trying to be supportive and encouraging and tell them, keep building those relationships. And instead, what we did is we looked for the bright spots. And among the bright spots, out of 1,000 agencies in the region, there were 9 that were growing double digits and had retention between 91 to 95%.
Only 9 out of 1,000.
Now, keep in mind,
Wow.
Dave, almost every single year, it is true that rate increase masks a lot when you count for growth. If you are an agency, the average rate of growth per policy was 9% last year. It's got to be higher this year with the way the market's going, right?
Oh, for sure.
And so when you take the rate out and stop looking at your retention by premium and you just count policies, it's plus or minus 2% for the bell curve goes a little bit and a great big bump and a little bit. There are not a lot of agencies that are going hand over fist by policy count. Commercial or personal lines, it's just, and so look at policy count and see what it takes to hit. So I'm not talking 91 to 95% on premium. I'm talking 91 to 95% on percent retention on policy count.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. There are many, many agencies who just focus on either revenue or premium, and they don't look at PIF, policies in force. But that's crucially important. And I always looked at PIF per household. How do you penetrate each household? 1.7 is not nearly as impressive as 3.2. If I'm hitting 3.2, I'm doing a job, and I'm helping my clientele along the way.
Yeah.
And premium will come along with it. Of course, revenue then trails. But there's lots of folks I read PIF. I don't even bother talking about or looking at PIF. It's just not policies I don't care about. It's what pays the bills. I'm like, that's true, but there's more. There's just more to the story than that, as you're just saying.
You can tell I just
thanks for bringing that up.
Jump out and say so many things here, but let's. This is a great trunk to branch a tree off of discussion, and I think the place that I would start is do both, because here two things I want to get. One of them is why I'm so bullish on the independent agent industry, okay? And the second is why I feel like independent agents are playing with one hand tied behind their back. And so I am hugely bullish on the future of the independent agent channel. And I think every independent agent falls in this category of they offer choice, they offer great knowledge, they offer wonderful advice, and they're local, which means I can have a relationship with them. Now, how deep you want to go in that relationship is up to you, but all of that is offered. Now, the exclusive channel who offer one brand offer the same things except for the choice. And so for a buyer of insurance products, I always will get a better opportunity with someone who offers many than someone who offers one. I mean, it's just common sense. So I think whether it's commercial or personal, in every case, an independent agent offers more, okay? That's all good. There's an optional side that independent agents can be even better at. Every single one of them. And that is Showing personality. I got four things. The first one is personality. Why is it that I can look at 80 websites and out of 80, only 20 of them have a single photo of anyone in their agency over a year's worth of posts on Facebook? Why is it that I can go to 80 agencies and 40 of them may have a staff bio, 30 of them will have photos, 30 of the 40 of their people, and only 20 of them will say anything about the individual's personal life outside of work? We are so, as an industry, strapped to being professional that we can't see, as we're trying to keep up with what everybody else is doing, we can't see how being unique and individual and personable can make such a huge difference in that connection, in that relationship. The second thing is community involvement. It's a choice. You can do it or not. And I find 90% of them are doing that. Just that's how they live. They want to help their community. They're great people in this industry. And yet, only about 25% of them are telling anyone that they're doing it. Now, when you look at Subaru and they say, take a test drive, we'll plant a tree. They've partnered with national parks. If you buy a car, we'll plant 3 trees. Buy a pair of socks, get a pair of socks, buy a pair of shoes. That's Bombas, or with Tom's shoes. Buy a pair. We'll give it away. Corporations are starting to talk about this stuff. Independent agencies still don't understand. It's not like, hey, look what I did, and I gave $1,000 to the school rebuilding effort in Haiti after the earthquake. That's not it. It's come join us at the blanket drive, at the blood drive, at the 5K fun run, for that kind of stuff, for whatever charity it's supporting. But community involvement is a choice. The third is communication and how you promote that. It's not enough just to do it. You need to tell your clients that you're doing it, invite them to join you. Maybe 5%, 3% will actually come with you. But the rest of them go, man, I am proud of working with Dave. Dave's an awesome guy, and I've never known an agent who communicates, who has some personality, might be somebody that that I'd like to be friends with outside of the business. And then the fourth one is to let clients know how much you care. Now, there are people like a Claudia McLean and Patty Laras and multiple others that I'm familiar with, that they just exude how much they care. Most of the rest of us have to work a little harder at it. But if you don't communicate about community efforts, about your family, about some things that you believe in and trying to make this world a better place, it's hard for clients to say, I really know these people. Even when you want to check the box of communication and you allow a company that you're spending money with to send out communications on your behalf about a welcome letter, about a renewal upcoming notice, or about a cross-sell or a happy birthday. What I still don't learn from any of those communications is about the people of the agency and who they are and why I should care about them. If you're competent and knowledgeable, you give great service, that's table stakes. You're just in the game at that point. But you can be great and just hit this secondary level, and we can talk about some of the numbers there. by doing that stuff. So those are the four things that I think are kind of optional. That if independent agents everywhere were doing those things, you'd start to see a massive change in market share.
For sure. Let me tell you a story, my personal story. So, out of my 44 years in the industry, I spent 34 of those years on the captive side of the business before I finally took on an independent agency.
I remember
This
you
was in
telling me
Gilbert.
that over
Yeah.
breakfast that one day.
You
That was
probably
great.
heard this whole, I've told this story hundreds of times probably, but I'm going to tell it one
Yeah,
more
that's okay.
time. So I lived in Gilbert, Arizona. I lived in a planned master community, about 4,000 houses. So it was a good size. And when I went to start with State Farm as a captive, they want you in a storefront, right? So I chose a strip mall. It was 1 mile from where I live.
Nice.
Very close, 5-minute commute. And nice little brand new strip mall. This was right after '08. So the strip
Dear.
mall was all empty. Landlord had gone bankrupt.
Oh,
And
tough
so
time.
now it's new owner, and we're coming back. So I got a really good rate on it. Otherwise, I wouldn't normally go retail space. I would go, off the street office. But anyway, it was very inexpensive. And so I did that. I opened a State Farm agent. I was only there for a year before I went independent. But during that 1 year as a State Farm agent, I lived in my neighborhood for about 3 years. We built a brand new house, lived in it for about 3 years. And the kind of neighborhood where we went somewhere away from your house in your car, and you came back home, pulled in your garage, and closed the door, and you never saw a neighbor. It just was not one of those close-knit, get-to-know your neighbors for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it was. And so I didn't like that. I didn't care for that. I said, I want to get to know my neighbors, not just next door and down a block around. The whole neighborhood, 4,000 homes, and I happen to sell insurance. But I don't ever want to mention to any of those neighbors that I do sell insurance. Nobody wants to be sold insurance, especially a neighbor. So what I did was, and this is to your 4 points here, here's what I did. I didn't know if I was doing it on purpose. I mean, I was doing it on purpose, but I didn't know I was doing it with a purpose. But I just, there wasn't a neighborhood Facebook group for whatever reason. And I had belonged to a handful. I mean, I joined Facebook in '08, and I started that Facebook group in like 2012. So it'd been around Facebook a while, social media a while. And so it dawned on me that that'd be one way to bring neighbors together. So, but I didn't know that many neighbors, so I recruited one of the moms who I knew, who knew all the other moms. And so I said, hey, we're going to build this Facebook group, and you're going to be a co-admin with me. And will you add a few? I'm telling you, within 2 days, we had 400 members. And they must be in that neighborhood. We weren't going to allow any outsiders. Fought that for a while. And so how did that benefit me as an insurance agent a mile down the road with an office? I never talked about it, but I became a community leader. And one of the number one things I did was I learned inside and out the HOA rules, because no one reads those bylaws and no one knows their rules. They sign it when they buy the house and they agree to it all, but they have no clue. What tree can I plant in the front yard? What's the restrictions with a basketball hoop? All of it, right? And so I learned, I didn't learn it by heart verbatim, but I knew what all the answers were online at the HOA's website. And I had copy and paste, and I had these standard copy and paste little snippets. I'm like, here's the answer. This is straight from the HOA website. So don't look at me. I'm not the one who's telling you what to do, but the HOA did. So I can't tell you how many questions. And I get, oh, Dave knows that one. I get tagged all the time. And I offer, then the thing, it's kind of like Google. This is how I liken it. When Google first started, if you read their story, they knew they wanted to build a search engine, but they didn't know how they got money from people, all kinds of money from people, and they built a search engine for the internet because the internet was new, but they didn't know how to monetize it. They kept borrowing money, but nobody's getting their money back. until they figured out, oh, pay-per-click advertising. That's it. And that's what just sent them through the roof. And that's what happened to me. I said, I'm going to offer these neighbors free services, things I can do for free. It's a mile walk or drive, or I'll come to you. Notary service, free shredding, passport photos. We did a whole host of services like that, and I did it for free. And so people walk into my office. So I told this story at our first IAOA workshop, and it wasn't a conference like we have today. It was a workshop in Anaheim. 27 people showed up. And I told them how I marketed on Facebook. I called it, and I wrote an ebook about it. Here's how I marketed on Facebook. Did I do it with the intent of selling insurance? No, I never mentioned the word insurance one time. But people found out, and they referred me. Oh, I've become a client of Dave's. You need to go see him. He's a mile down the road. He's great, offers all the free service. He knows everything about the, I was a community leader. And people would gravitate towards that just naturally. It was all organic. And so in my first year, State Farm, and then my first year or two after becoming independent in the same location, I must have insured, I remember, I forget the numbers honestly now, 400 or 500 households in just a year to 2 to 3 years time, because they all just gravitated toward me. And I was very fortunate that I had a physical office location a short distance away. That totally made sense to me. I wanted to be in my community. So what you talk about just rings home for me really strong, because I took that to heart, not because you taught me, but just because I knew I want to be in my neighborhood, in my community. And that's how people are going to get to know me. So I know some agents who are like, oh man, when I go to the grocery store, I don't want anybody to see me, because I don't want to have to talk to any clients or anybody wave at me or say, oh, he's my insurance agent. I'd stop and spend time and talk, and how's the family? You get to know your folks, and that makes all the difference to them. Rate increases, double digits, they're not leaving you. You've built a loyal clientele, fanatical fans, for life, customers for life. There's all kinds of terminology we've used. And your retention rate is high. It stays high, and it never leaves. So anyway, that's my version of my story, and I want to thank you for putting that in your teachings, because it's pot of gold if you listen and implement.
Let's remember. So Dave, if I could just self-promote for just a second and tell people the name of my book. It's called The Remarkable Insurance Agency.
Yep, I have it right here on my bookshelf. Yep.
Increasing revenue while having fun with clients, community, and marketing, right? And after I retired, I still feel this sense of wanting to help. I want to help people get better. So
which was just 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, 2021.
Yep.
So when I wrote that book, it was the intent of showing people why this works. It's not coming from me. It doesn't come from a book I read. It doesn't come from a class I took. It came from over 3,000 face-to-face in-agency visits while I was a sales manager and a marketing director, talking with agents about what works, sharing ideas, watching them test things. One of the agencies in the books have been doing this for 17 years, 5 of them for 12 years, and 5 of them for 7 years. Basically, the 12 are in the Northwest, where I first started teaching it, and the ones with 7 years are the ones that I taught nationally that implemented this across the country. And when I say agents are doing running their business with one hand tied behind their back, the mentality of, oh, I only look at revenue. Why not look at both? Why are you holding yourself back? Well, because I don't have time. I get the I don't have time thing, but if you look at how much revenue you lose, the average, it would open your eyes to what's really possible. I mean, one of the reasons, Dave, I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place here, but here's a tangent for you on that tree from this trunk. When you look at how many people got into this business on accident, you don't see people leaving in droves. What you see is people stay until they get white hair and retire. And
Mhm.
what because they love the industry, they love the flexibility of their work, they love helping clients, they love every day being able to be of service. Some of them love the joy of the hunting and seeking of the new business. And justifiably so, new business is the lifeblood of the industry. But what
Mhm.
if you could be doing the same new business, but your growth is 5 to 10% higher just because the retention on your entire book is higher? So the
Mhm.
average industry retention is 84%. If you have a higher end preferred clientele, it's generally 87%. That's the average.
Mhm.
We saw that the average among Safeco agents was 85% and below, 85% up to about 88.5, and then 89.5 up to 95%. And that 89.5 to 80, boy, I'm getting some of these numbers wrong. 88.5, the base of the high end third, right?
Mhm.
Almost everybody in that group was 88.5 up to 89.9. Getting over
Mhm.
90% retention is significant. When but when you look at how much money you can make on $1 million book, a 3 point move, just going from 88% to 91%, is over
Mhm.
$800,000 of revenue over 10 years on a $1 million book. If you got a five
There you
hundred,
go.
if you got a $500,000 book, you cut that number in half. If you have a $2 million book, you double it. $3 million book, you triple it. The bigger the agency gets, the more important it is on the retention. So why is it when when agencies purchase a new location, they'll send out one letter of notification saying, we're now
Mhm.
your agent, we'll handle your renewal. There's no monthly communication, there's no personality, right? It's just so necessary. So playing with one hand tied behind your back, what I mean by that is do the tracking and see the marketing and see what's possible. 10 of the 12 agencies here in, or sorry, 10 of the 11 agencies in the book hired a marketer to help. And there are some owners that can handle that, but most owners are going to be in a position where they just don't have time to do the marketing themselves.
Or they're just defensive about it because, you know, it's worked fine before. I don't need somebody.
Yeah.
So I could see that
Wait,
attitude for
so
sure.
let's look at this because I loved a comment from a friend the other day in the industry who commented, I wish people would stop talking about people who are winners and people who are losers because you don't know what that person is going through that has put them at that level where they're consistently producing what you might call a loser compared to what the winners, quote unquote, are doing, right? I
Right.
have no issue with someone getting to a level and saying, where I'm at is fine. I love my life right here at this level. And that's terrific. And especially if you're a one person owner operator, more power to you. If you manage people, though, and you say where we are at is fine, what you've just told everybody who works for you is you are capped. This is as far as you'll ever go. There will never be more
Hmm.
opportunity for you. But I want you to be happy. I hope you like your job. Um,
Right.
and you do what you can to take care of them, right? But so I won't ever say, everybody should grow more. That's just not the way life is. But if you want to do more, and Dave, I'll even throw this out there, and I know it's kind of weird because you now have over 9,000 members, but if there's somebody that reads my book, which you can find on Amazon, just search Chuck Blondino on
Hmm.
Amazon.com, and
A
you'll,
remarkable insurance
yep,
agency.
you'll pull it up. I'm going to be reaching out to this gal in Wisconsin who told me she was so excited about reading my book. She's halfway through. It's exactly what she needed. I'm going to reach out to her and say, hey, would you like a half-hour conversation? I'd love to find out, why you got the book and what you saw that excited you. If you have members, Dave, that read my book and are interested in having a conversation, I would love to see if there's something I could just be a sounding board and help or offer some suggestions. This is what I do. I golf, I play with my grandkids, and I still on the side kind of help agents grow and hope that they read the book and find some use out of what I've got in there.
That's a very extremely generous offer, and I know there's some people who will take you up on that. So I want to summarize the book. Once again, Amazon, all over Amazon. There's a lot of places you can buy it. The Remarkable Insurance Agency by Chuck Blondino.
Actually, Amazon's the only place you can buy it.
The only place. Yep. Okay, there you go. And it's not expensive at all. Oh my gosh, under what $30 investment in your agency. Yep. If you're not willing to go that route, then a little bit of time to read it. But it's basically, if I understood you right, and I've read it. I read it like last year, the end of last year sometime. It's a compilation and your summary of 11 case studies, 11 different agencies and case studies of what they've done in their agencies, good and bad. And it's kind of a roadmap to, if you want to be here, if you're here and you want to go there, here's how you get there. So it's an amazing read. I mean, I read it in a week. It didn't take me long because I couldn't put it down. So if anybody's interested in that, one more time, Chuck Blondino, Blondino, and it's called The Remarkable Insurance Agency, only on Amazon. It's a great read, super, and I've given away a few copies inside our IAOA group. And I haven't heard from those that have read it, but if you'd like to hear from them. So we'll get to it at the very end of our conversation here. But if somebody does want to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can just reach me on, use my LinkedIn profile, send me a note on LinkedIn.
Okay, message Chuck on LinkedIn. Yep. That's the best way to do it. So,
and I can tell you my email, but if you look at my profile, you'll find my email in there too if people want to reach out.
Yeah. Direct message is just as easy.
Yes. I think that one of the other reasons I wrote the book, Dave, is I would tell people, doesn't matter how you communicate, but you need to be proactive. You can't just have social media and a website, because both of those require people to come to your social media or your website to find you and see what you're promoting. You need to have outbound communication in some format to clients. And what I would see is people communicating about, hey, protect your home from fire. Here are the 5 most frequent causes of fires in a home, or here's how to remove an ice dam in a big storm. It's stuff that, it's kind of what I call insurance news and safety tips that will bore people so much that they won't come back and see what else you're talking about. There should be something in every communication that you send out that helps clients know something about someone in your agency. In other words, don't just put out a recipe. Put out the fact that, in our agency, John is a great cook, and he's giving his favorite recipes once a month. And here's why John loves these, right? Sally is a great gardener, and here's a photo of her garden at home. In this time of year, here's what her favorite, plantings are in our area. Daylilies across the, whatever. But focus. Don't just have a great plants to plant this time of year recipe for a good soup. Tie it to someone in the agency and have some connection. There are 100 in my chapter on content. There are over 100 different ideas of how to be more personable in your communications. And in the chapter preceding that on communication, we talk about all the different kinds of ways that people are getting the word out to clients. So, and then in the 11 agency stories, there's interviews. Some of them have both before and after that had some of their early communications, just to show how different they communicated today compared to when they first started. So
That's so
it's a
cool.
learning experience for everybody.
That is so cool. So, those that are listening and don't know, I'm the founder of a Facebook group exclusively for independent insurance agency owners. We just turned 9 years old in January, so we're about 9.5 years old. And I have approved 100% of those members, 9,000 plus members, to join our group when they request to join. I turn away many more than I approve. But while doing that, I need to confirm three things: that they use Facebook, that's a given; that they are an independent agency; and that they have an ownership stake. They're either a principal partner or owner of the agency. They have some sort of ownership stake. So independent, I don't care what lines. They can be majority or P&C, but they can be life, health, or senior benefits. They can be any line of business in the insurance industry, but be an owner and be independent. So in doing that, I'm going to guess I've seen, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 insurance agency websites. Just going there, and I click on About Us almost every time. And yeah, so I've seen a lot of them, Chuck. I know what you're saying. And there are, I don't, if I did an actual, research and tallied it all, I would guesstimate that out of 5,000, let's say, maybe 5% have photos and bios of the agency staff.
Yep.
5%.
Yep.
95% do not. Why is an independent different than a captive and a checklist? We're an independent. We shop multiple carriers, and we have 34 years of industry experience within our office. No names, no photos, no descriptions, none of the get to know us kind of thing. Like you say, talk about personality. And so I'm not criticizing at all, because I had to learn that too. But there's so much room for improvement when it comes to personality and just letting people getting to know you and your staff. 95% is my guess that can learn a lesson and take it to another level. So what you say is absolutely true.
Your comment about not criticizing is well taken. It is, what I'm talking about is simply a snapshot in time. If you don't have staff bios, if you don't send out regular communications of some form to your clients, if you don't have your retention over 90%, that's okay. It's just the way it is. And congratulations, you are part of a vast majority of agents that are in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
But imagine how much market share we as an independent agent channel could take if we simply would do these basic things to show some personality. Now, there are many others that actually, they do have staff bios. Some of them have pictures. Most of them just talk about work stuff, but they say, hey, I have those. Or I have a social media page. Now, somebody else does it for them, and they haven't ever given any input for that. And then they say they have it. But the number of stories that I have of agencies that use tools that check the box that say, yes, we do those things. All I would say is, did it work? Are your numbers reflecting whether you've paid thousands or you've done it on your own for free? You've put these tools in place. Are you tracking? Get that arm out from behind your back and track your results and see, Did it work? And if it's working, congratulations. And if it's working and you did it differently, 180 degrees from whatever is taught in my book, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
These things that came to me from other agents are not the only ways to grow, right? But in a snapshot in time, all I'm asking is what you're doing working? And if it's not, here's something that did. And if it is, more congratulations. Just keep on going.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, there's so much golden nuggets in your book of because you had the distinct opportunity to be able to talk to these we'll call it successful agencies who are doing things right or took themselves from average to above, and how do they do it, why do they do it, and how much did it cost them to do it. You know, out of all our talk today, we've been on here over 50 minutes. The one thing
Sorry,
that I
Dave.
remember the most, no, no, that's perfectly fine. The one thing that I heard you say that stuck to me personally were the numbers. The revenue numbers increase on $1 million book or a half a million or two or three. And if your retention just increases 3%, you don't even need to sell new business. Zero new business. Just increase your retention, which is easy to do today. But 3% increase in retention will take your revenue and everything that goes along with it, premium, PIF, all the above, and bonuses, you name it, employee morale, all the byproducts that are going to go along with it. And it's going to take you to a whole new level that you never knew existed. It's incredible. You mentioned one of our friends, an agent in Washington, who just recently retired,
Yes.
Claudia McLean.
Yeah.
And Claudia would publish her retention ratios in the mid 90s, 94, 95, 96. I mean, pushing numbers on a personal lines only book of business, pushing numbers that no one has ever touched, And how does she do it? She would talk about it all the time. 34 touch points per client per year. 34, not one a month, 34, that's almost three a month in different ways. It didn't matter if it was, out in the community or a postcard or an email or a phone call or a letter, whatever it was, 34 touch points. That's unheard of. Like I can't imagine doing 34, and I don't know anybody
And
that does
most
more.
people can't, Dave, because when if I there was an executive at Safeco who said, "Why would I want to hear from my insurance agent that much?" Because
Isn't that
what most
crazy?
insurance agencies do is they send out insurance news and safety tips, bore people to tears. Don't bother sending it, or it won't get past my recycle bin if you do, right? But
Right.
when the way Claudia talks, like the number of groups that they work with in the community, the invitations to go and help with these different things that they're doing in the community, or just to come be a part of an event in the community. It's
Right.
about they all the wonderful people at that office, and now Nick Pembroke leading the agency.
Hmm.
They all exude this level of caring for both their clients and the community, and it shows in everything that they do.
Right. It's not 34 postcards a year.
So, by
I
the
didn't
way,
mean to allude to that.
yes, yes, Megan Pembroke, Nick's wife, is the marketer at McLean Insurance, and she shared their marketing calendar, which is part of the book as well. So, I I tried to make it as easy as possible for people to get started with examples, but again, happy to talk to people if they have questions or want to reach out.
Yeah. That part right there, that marketing calendar is worth the cost of the book, it just in itself. So yeah, we are going to come to our conclusion here with Chuck, but I want to just summarize, Chuck. The reason I love getting together with you is because when you come on, I don't even get to squeeze in, Chuck, where are you born and raised? You're so passionate. You know, you want to get into how can I help independent agency owners? And that's why people love you so much,
I am.
because that's who you are. And you're just so genuine, and people love listening to you because you have the passion in your voice for helping, for one thing, helping independent agencies grow.
That's all it's about.
That's all it's about. And that's what your book's about. We talked about it most of this call, which was terrific. We could probably go on for another 5 hours just talking about your book and all the case studies and examples that you put in there. But one last time, I want to tell everybody listening here, get Chuck's book, The Remarkable Insurance Agency by Chuck Blondino on Amazon. And look for the link. When this gets published, look for the link in the comments. I'll put the Amazon link there so everybody can easily get to it and get Chuck's book. So, Chuck, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Enjoy retired life, the grandkids, and golfing, and helping agents along the way. We can't say thank you enough. We appreciate you, good sir, and thanks for coming on.
Excellent. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate your help.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. This is Captain Dave Jackson signing out from Collabcast, and we'll see you again down the airwaves. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Collabcast with IAOA with Captain Dave Jackson. Production and distribution by Podsquad.fm, Riverside.fm, and Spotify for podcasters. Special thanks to Little Dog Social Media, Terry Champion, and all our guests and listeners. If you're an independent insurance agency owner, please subscribe to our podcast weekly. You can also request to join our agency owner exclusive Facebook group, IAOA, or Insurance Agency Owners Alliance at IAOA.com. Captain Dave Jackson signs out from sunny Hendersonville, Tennessee.